हेलो नमस्कार वणक्कम आई होप ऑल ऑफ यू आर डूइंग वेल। मेरे सामने आप स्क्रीन पर देख रहे हैं आईसीएससी स्पेसिमन पेपर फॉर हिस्ट्री एंड सिविक्स फॉर 2024। भला मैं ये स्पेसिमन पेपर क्यों दिखा रहा हूं? बिकॉज द गुड न्यूज इज दैट the CISE has finally decided to have critical thinking questions in the board paper starting 2024. And why am I saying it's good news? It's good news because finally students will stop looking at subjects like geography, history, civics, biology, chemistry as rote learning kind of subjects. Dimag lagana padega. These will be application based questions. And this is good news because this is always the way we have taught. If you see any of our courses, especially the history and civics course, which I teach personally, I've always taught by giving a lot of examples, especially when it comes to a subject like civics. Because you have the experience, you don't rely only on bookish knowledge or what is written in the book. You are able to explain the definition by giving examples, and that's precisely how civics is taught. So stop rote learning, stop mugging up anything, understand. And if you want to understand, be part of our history and civics course, which I really think is one of our best courses. It's my favorite course, and I really think it reflects my understanding of the subject deeply. Okay, so that's up to you, entirely up to you. So if you want, download the Study with Sudhir app. The link is in the description box. So today I wanted to point out this specimen paper for a couple of reasons कि आपकी strategy क्या होनी चाहिए. I will also look through the MCQs because that's where the application based questions have been asked. The subjective part is largely the same with a couple of changes, small changes. वो भी मैं बताऊंगा. तो उसके लिए क्या strategy होनी चाहिए और इसके लिए क्या होनी चाहिए उसके बारे में बात करेंगे. Let's solve the paper and let's see whether you are able to do so along with me. Many of you may not have studied all the chapters so far, but nevertheless, it will still give you an idea as to what has to be your approach. Okay, so let's start with the 16 MCQs. Now, the first one is about the ordinance, जिसकी definition आप पढ़ते हैं कि ordinance is issued when parliament is not in session. Either of the two houses is not in session. Mainly Lok Sabha के reference में ही होता है ऐसे. And it is issued by the president and then it has to be cleared by parliament. ये आपने पढ़ा है. Now look at, so पहले questions किस तरह से आते थे? An ordinance is issued when, or ordinance has to be is signed by who, ordinance has to be approved by who. उस तरह के straight questions आते थे. तो अगर आपने definition पढ़ा है, so you would be able to straight away option B करके लिख के निकल जा सकते थे. अभी आपको थोड़ा सा सोचना पड़ेगा. Let me give you the example of the first question. An ordinance is called a temporary law. ये आपको मालूम है. Which of the following statements correctly describes the fact that it is a temporary law? Only the cabinet can prepare the ordinance? No, it is a fact that the cabinet prepares the ordinance, but does that make it a temporary law? No, it does not. That's why I say understanding comes in. It is issued when parliament is not functioning. Does that make it a temporary law? No, it does not. If the parliament does not approve it within 6 weeks, it becomes inoperative. It means that it becomes inoperative का मतलब क्या हुआ? That it does not, inoperative का मतलब है that it is not permanent. Okay. That is, it will not be permanent beyond a period of 6 weeks, which means that it is a temporary law. So the correct option is option C. Only the president can promulgate an ordinance. Yes, he's the one who signs on the ordinance, he or she, but that does not make it a temporary law. Okay, so why I'm saying this is that you will now read all the 4 options more carefully than you did in the past, more carefully than your seniors did in 2023 and 2022. Okay, let's move forward. Given below are details of a few Indian citizens. The first one, W, is age 35, but was recently declared bankrupt. आप ये चारों के पढ़ लीजिए. Let's look at the question which has been asked. Select the person who fulfills the eligibility criteria to become a member of the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of Indian Parliament. पहले आपसे क्वेश्चंस कैसे पूछे जाते थे? आपके सीनियर से कैसे पूछे गए थे? That which of these is a prerequisite to become a member of the Rajya Sabha, or which of these is not a qualification needed for the Rajya Sabha? Us tarah ke, which were pretty easy and straightforward. Now you will have to apply your mind. Now you have to apply your mind on two counts. Pehla to aap dekhiye age. What is the age wherein you can become a member of the Rajya Sabha? Batao, 30 years old, right? 30 years old. So इसमें से कौन सा है? That means Y and Z and W, 30 and above, right? 30. So 25X is ruled out because 25 साल वाला candidate तो नहीं बन सकता. Okay, so ये और ये हो सकता है. Now इसमें आप देखिए, recently declared bankrupt. Now that is a disqualification to become a member of the Rajya Sabha. तो ये भी कट गया. Convicted of a criminal offense, if you are convicted, if you are a proclaimed criminal, you cannot, and sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years, you cannot become an MP. Okay, so ye bhi cut gaya. So that means this is the right one. It does not matter whether he does not belong to a backward class. Uska koi farak nahi padta. Ye sirf other detail hai. ऐसा नहीं है कि belongs to a socially and educationally backward class is a prerequisite to become a Rajya Sabha MP. No. But it is another detail which has been provided deliberately to kind of create a doubt in your mind, right? So the correct answer will be C, Y. The opposition feels that the ruling government does not have the majority in the Lok Sabha and wants to bring down the government. Which of these motions will the leader of the opposition move? Adjournment motion. Now this is a straightforward, but with the help of an example, they've just tried to, like one of my favorite questions, which is also there in our test papers, would be like, Mr. So-and-so, Shanti Bhushan, had to resign after 6 months, okay, as minister. Why? So you need to know that you need to become an MP of either the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha within 6 months. You can make it even more complicated by saying that, he was a member of the Legislative Assembly. Can he become a minister? So there are many ifs and buts. So if you understand the entire governance ecosystem and architecture, you can actually create many of these very interesting MCQs, which are already there in many of our test papers in the past. तब students बोलते थे out of syllabus है. अब मजा आएगा बिडू. Which of these motions will the leader of the opposition move? So the correct option is no confidence motion. When the Supreme Court reviews, so it's not like all the 16 are application based. Some of them are, at least I think easily 50 to 60% of them are. When the Supreme Court reviews any judgment made by it to remove an error, it falls under the revisory jurisdiction. Identify the officials who form the electoral college for the presidential election. Same question can come even for the vice presidential election. तो हमेशा मैं बताता हूं, nominated members जो होते हैं, 12 nominated members of the Rajya Sabha do not vote in the election, but they vote in the impeachment of the president. So ये क्यों तो है नहीं. Elected members of parliament and elected members of the state legislative assembly form the electoral college for the president. So the correct option will be option C, P and R. Court of district judge civil cases, ये तो simple है, straight away criminal this thing. ये 7वां क्वेश्चन थोड़ा सा अजीब सा है, ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आया, because I feel option जो first statement दिया है A is incorrect. It says Gandhi's civil disobedience was based on engaging in dialogue and negotiation with the British, which actually it was not. It was to kind of disobey and defy the British, which is why the Dandi March was undertaken in 1930 to collect salt from the seashore in Gujarat. So that was defiance of the British. So this statement A is not quite okay. So in my opinion, option D is the right one, that A and B is correct one, that Gandhi believed that violence and aggression are counterproductive to achieve any goal. कि violence और aggression से किसी भी चीज को आप हासिल नहीं कर सकते हैं, right? So option B और C तो सीधा गया, because option A तो सही नहीं है. अगर A false and B true होता तो option C ठीक होता. So B is not the reason for A. B does not contradict A because A is not a correct statement. So in my opinion, though I think the question itself is not entirely correct, this would be the correct one in my opinion, but I have a problem with this question. Eighth question. The central government of a country named X has decided to enforce a law similar to the Vernacular Press Act. याद है ना 1878 वाला. So आज की तारीख में, if it was enacted today, who is likely to benefit? Will it benefit the citizens? No, the citizens will not come to know. So इसमें जरूरत क्या है? आपको Vernacular Press Act में हुआ क्या था वो जानना है. लेकिन आपसे ये नहीं पूछा जा रहा. You are not being asked what was there in the Vernacular Press Act. That is how the previous MCQs would be drafted, right? Would be framed. Now you are expected to know what was in the Vernacular Press Act and use that information to answer a question not in 1878 but in 2024, next year, right? 23-24. So citizens ko, there would not be any benefit. The media industry, will it benefit? No, the media industry will not benefit because there would be curbs on my freedom on what I can write and what I can publish, right? The opposition party, no, the opposition party, if it criticizes or says anything against the government, it will never get published under the Vernacular Press Act. Hai na? Because please see what is written as part of the Vernacular Press Act. The exact words, let me read it out so that it's very clear for you. 1 minute. It says, the Vernacular Press Act forbade vernacular publications, that is the regional press at that time, but yahan pe to, I mean, of course, vernacular press ki baat ho rahi hai, but they are saying a law of a similar nature. It says that they could not publish any material which might excite feelings of dissatisfaction against the government, against the British government at that time. So, agar opposition party criticize kar rahi hai ruling government ko, can the press publish it? No, it cannot publish it. So the only person who it is likely to benefit is option D, the ruling political party. Okay? Dimag lagana padega. In 1856, the British East India Company justified the annexation of Awadh, the princely state in northern India, on what grounds? This is pretty simple, alleged misgovernance. ये आ गया न्यूज़पेपर का फोटोग्राफ. पहले क्या होता था, वो जो फोटोग्राफ गोली मारने वाला यूज होता था, it used to come as a picture question, the Archduke Ferdinand being assassinated, right, just before the start of the First World War, and that was the immediate cause of the First World War. तो यहाँ पर heir to Austrian throne murdered, Archduke and his wife shot dead in the street, आपको दिख रहा है. So that means immediately instead of that photograph, you are being given information through a newspaper article, through a newspaper headline. So it led to the First World War, the option B. Identify the odd one out of the following objectives. ये तीनों objectives Muslim League के हैं. This is the forward block से associated. So that is the odd one out. A college student named Roshni, if any one of you is called Roshni, raise your hand, is doing a project on a prominent Indian leader whose core work revolved around Dalit rights. Interesting. Who is Roshni most likely writing about? Is she writing about Surendranath Banerjee? Is she writing about Firoz Shah Mehta? Is she writing about the grand old man of India, Dada Bhai Naroji? Or is she writing about Jyotiba Phule? So, अगर आपने ज्योतिबा फुले के बारे में और सत्यशोधक समाज के बारे में पढ़ा है कि उन्होंने अनटचेबिलिटी के खिलाफ काफी काम किया था, you will know immediately that the correct option will be D, because he is the one who operated among the untouchables about raising voice against untouchability and for Dalit rights. 13th question. What was the cause for the renewal of the civil disobedience movement? Failure of the second round table conference. Till last year, ये question होता तो बोलते हैं कि out of syllabus है. Syllabus change नहीं हुआ है, लेकिन ये इस बारी इस तरह का question पूछा गया है. Last time Irwin Pat के बाद पैक ऑफ हो जाता था, इसके बाद और कुछ सिलेबस में नहीं है बोलते थे. The non-permanent members of the Security Council have a term of 2 years. This is simple and straightforward. Which of the following policies of a dictator ruling over country X is most aligned with the ideologies of Mussolini? तो आपको मुसोलिनी के आइडियोलॉजी के बारे में पता होना चाहिए. Was he offering financial aid to support the education of students? No, no. Creating a healthcare program? No, no. Environmental sustainability? बिल्कुल नहीं. The correct option is option A. Simple, not very complicated. What it needs is a more careful reading of all the options and what you know and how to apply it in the question and answers, in the 4 options. That is what is required. You should be able to make the connection. तो आपको, you are being operated, it's like, email में होता है ना, 2-factor authentication, है ना, for better security. So in order to score better marks, you need to be able to know the theory and how to apply it in practice. That's the big change as far as this new style of question paper is concerned. With history civics, we'll do for other subjects also. Which of the following scenarios describes the non-alignment policy? A country forms a military alliance only with the United States? No. A country maintains relations with both factions? Yes. A country, but yes karke immediately take mark mat kar dena. Please look at the other 2 options also. A country is part of a religious movement advocating non-violence? No, that's not what non-aligned policy means. And a country aligns with the Soviet Union, with the USSR, and receives military aid? No. So the correct option is, it kind of stays neutral, does not take sides, means non-aligned. Okay, this ends the MCQs. Abhi aage ki Mysuru Lok Adalat settles a 53-year-old case. So what does it show? State any 2 advantages that can be deduced. So सीधा आप 4 रट्टा मार के गए होंगे तो चलेगा नहीं. आपको इसके हेडलाइन, ये जो हेडलाइन न्यूज आइटम है जो news18.com में आया था, उसमें से कौन से 2 एडवांटेजेस आपको लगते हैं जो कि लोक अदालत के हैं? You will have to be able to correlate. That's important. So 53-year-old case. So, and it went on for 53 years in various courts. So reduce the workload of various courts कि अभी उन courts को इस case को सुनना नहीं पड़ा. And number 2, settlement of long drawn out cases. That's what is the 2 advantage of Lok Adalats. Imagine you were part of German military in 1999. True. So military के तहत जो भी हो, अगर आप 3-4 याद करके गए हो, Alsace Lorraine के, SAR coal mines के, the indemnity which was to be paid, वही याद करके गए होंगे और military का भूल गए होंगे, तो you will not be able to answer this 2-mark question. So you need to know what were the military fallout of the Treaty of Versailles. So you will have to write about how the size of the military, the army, the navy, the number of ships, everything was reduced. That can be point number 1. The point number 2 can be that the Rhine Valley had to be demilitarized, right? You can talk about, because both are connected with the military, the German military. Baki questions are straightforward. Okay, these are all straightforward. No googly in that. Abhi googly aayega, wo bhi googly aisa वैसा नहीं. It will be a Muthaiya Muralidharan kind of googly or a Shane Warne kind of googly कि ball यहाँ पर गिरेगी और wicket off stump जाके उड़ेगी. ध्यान रखना, ये सब easy है. Subjective part, it's pretty easy. तो इसमें please make sure that you are kind of going through the previous year question papers. Subjective में उसका काफी फायदा होगा. You will gain as a result of that. I will talk about which particular book you can rely on in order to look at previous year question papers after in another video. Okay, इसमें एक क्वेश्चन और है जो कि हिस्ट्री का था, ये वाला क्वेश्चन नंबर 8. Now here they have given a particular passage from the Hindu newspaper. Okay, पहले हो सकता था कि फोटोग्राफ क्वेश्चन दिया जाता, लेकिन 1931 January, and you need to understand who is being spoken about with connection with Mahatma Gandhi. Who was the viceroy who negotiated with Gandhi ji? So isme what is important, that you need to know the dates, the important dates you need to know. Uske hisab se hi you will be. So 1931 you will have to be able to correlate with which was the viceroy. So that was Viceroy Lord Irwin, the Irwin Gandhi Pact. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact after the civil disobedience movement, which led to the Round Table Conference, etc. So that's how you need to deal with this history civics paper. But it does not mean कि आप बिल्कुल डर जाओ. जो डर गया समझो मर गया. तो मरने का नहीं है. SWS is here. I will help you deal with this. Not a problem at all. But what I'm saying is that the big difference that you need to do is to stop rote learning, understand, and learn to apply. That's what will get you the marks. That's what will help you score an 80 on 80. We call our history civics course on Study with Sudhir the century course, because we have had the maximum number of students scoring a century in history civics, apart from subjects like English literature, geography, biology, etc. But history civics may we get the maximum number of century makers, right? And the reason is that even the last 2 years, I always taught to understand the subject and not just ratifying. रटने से भूल जा सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर आपने समझ लिया, कोई भी गूगली, बीमर, यॉर्कर, कोई भी क्वेश्चन आए, you will be able to hit an helicopter shot. Okay, so I hope this video helped. Thank you very much. Subscribe to SWS and support in order to ensure that we are able to support you as well. Thank you very much. God bless you. Tata, bye bye.